Man, good job to my boys in blue. Shout out, man. I don't want to spill the beans. We got some exciting things coming in the works, man, potentially with Michigan. So, man, that's the score report, man. I think, Trey, we're about to kick it over to the mailbag. We got a big mailbag question, man. Why don't you go ahead and let the listeners know what we're talking about today?
Well, before I even say what the mailbag question is, I just want to say that literally overnight, I had to throw all my notes. I was so ready for this segment 24 hours ago. 24 hours ago, I mean, I felt like I had some fire for this segment. And then after the late night games played out, now I'm in a totally different – this segment's probably going to go from being 10 minutes to 2 minutes as far as I'm concerned. But our mailbag for this week is this. Is the Pac-12 a serious contender for the college football playoff, the CFP? They have not been represented in the CFP yet. I believe they are the only Power 5 conference that is yet to represent, except for, maybe the first year.
2015, Oregon versus
lost to Ohio State. So other than that, they've pretty much gone ghost on the CFP. So, B. Holmes, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, man. So, like you said, if you'd asked me last week, I was high on the Pac-12, man.
But that's why we waited a week.
That is. You did say it. You said, let's wait a week. Because I liked Oregon, man. And Oregon's still undefeated. I like what they got. I like what Cristobal has going on out there in Eugene, man. I think he's building a strong culture. Even Thibodeau, who's going to be the number 1 overall pick projected in this next year's NFL draft, has not played in 2 weeks. So shout out to Oregon for taking care of business. The thing that shocked me yesterday, man, was Chip Kelly and UCLA. I mean, yes, Fresno State's a good team. But, man, you just coming off beating LSU, just coming off dominating week 1. Like, I expected at least UCLA and Oregon to hold up the end of the bargain. We know the mess that's happening at USC right now. And here's the thing that I'm going to say. They're not back, and I don't know if they ever are going to get if they'll even get respected. Let me say this, because I don't want to say the respect they deserve. I don't think they deserve respect just yet. But you got to get USC back. That is the key to the Pac-12. If USC is humming, then they have the respect. We have to be honest, in my personal opinion. Every conference has those set of teams that if they're not doing well, you don't really look at them. Like the Big 12, most people overlook it outside of OU. Now, if OU and Texas are playing well, man, people are high on the Big 12. If USC is playing well, people are high on the Pac-12. You know, the Big Ten, I'm going to be honest to say it, we've been carried by Ohio State and Penn State for the last couple years. SEC, Bama, and whoever else decides to be good that year.
That's right.
So I don't think the Pac-12 – now, I think if Oregon runs the tables, you got to honor it. They went on the road. They went to the Horseshoe. They went to Columbus. They took care of business. So you have to honor that. But I don't think outside of that, there's really a team that like kind of scratches the itch that makes me want to see. And I'm going to go on a limb and say this, Trey. Oregon isn't exactly like an eye-popping name that most people really want to see. We know them for their jerseys. We know them because that's where Nike's headquarters is at. But it's not like
Kelly era.
Chip Kelly era. But it's not like people are going to knock the doors down to go see. Because we have to admit, it's still a money grab, right? People want revenue. Revenue matters. And the team that has to get back in order for the Pac-12 to be taken seriously is USC. Can't be UCLA. Can't be Oregon. It has to be USC, which I think this is why who they hire, and we're going to talk about this later, but who they hire is super important, not just for their program relevance, but for the relevance of their conference.
Well, I think two things. Okay. Getting back to this question, are they a serious contender? First off, I need to just address UCLA. Why on earth did Chip Kelly not wear his visor last night?
Oh, you're right.
I mean, visor Chip Kelly is immortal.
That's true.
And he goes into a potential upset game, and he was wearing a black regular baseball hat. So it was just a regular hat, not one of his visors, where he just dominated LSU. He's been getting this team on the roll. People are starting to pay attention to UCLA football and visor Chip Kelly. And then he goes out, puts on a regular hat, and loses. And now no one's going to care about what they do the rest of the way. So that piece, I don't understand. I'm not quite sure what his thinking was on that. But
Right.
It really disappointed me because I was ready to come on this segment and really talk about how they have 2 potential teams, and really that's what a conference needs if you want to get representation. But here's what my thought is. Okay. Obviously, Oregon is going to be the only hope for the Pac-12 to get representation. The reason why I do think the Pac-12, they alone can help the Pac-12 be a serious contender is because I think that the Big 12 is not going to have representation. So here's what it's going to boil down to, okay? It's going to boil down to this. Does Notre Dame continue to run the table as they scratch and claw to their, 3 to 10 point wins? Because I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, but it's going to come down to Notre Dame, okay? When I revisit my bold prediction, all right?
Okay.
Because if they run the table the rest of the year, regardless of their strength of schedule, they will be in the college football playoff. All right?
Yeah.
And then I believe that the SEC has a great opportunity, or a huge argument could be made to get 2 teams in, especially if Georgia runs the table. And then I think between Georgia and Bama, obviously one of them is going to lose in the SEC championship. You know who I think it is it's going to lose. But the other one will probably get in as that 4 seed or 3 seed or whatever. So now that absorbs 3 spots. So that 4 spot now is going to have to go to someone in either the Pac-12, the Big 12, or the ACC. Mm-hmm. The ACC you're going to talk about when we get to overrated. Yes. Okay? The Big 12 I'm going to talk about when we get to overrated. So that is where I think Oregon, because of really where the ACC and Big 12 seem to be lacking this year, that's where I think that they could slide in as long as they continue to take care of business. But to be honest with you, there's another team that I think is going to be in that top 4, okay, coming from the Big 10 that I'm going to speak about during my surprise segment. And that's where I do think that it's going to be really tough for a team like Oregon, is because I think the Pac-12 or whoever is going to be contingent on what Notre Dame does, because unfortunately Notre Dame is going to get one of those spots if they run the table. True. And they don't have to play a conference championship. It's just it's how the media works. It's how it is. It's Notre Dame. It's, to your point, it's always a money grab. So I do think you're going to see a case for 2 SEC teams plus Notre Dame, and then really the other 4 Power 5 conferences competing for that last spot. That's a scenario we could see. So